From a radio studio on Long Island, New York, come two die-hard fans of the greatest rock and roll band hailing from Hollywood, California. Dissecting all things Guns N' Roses and anything else in their distorted minds, it's Brando and Scotto.
'Cause you know what the fuck you are!
And this is Appetite for Distortion.
Try it again!
And welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion. My name is Brando. With me, as always, is my partner in perfect crime, Scotto, Ian.
Yeah.
What's going on, buddy?
Doing good with a little Pauly Shore there. You ever see Pauly Shore is Dead, by the way?
No, that's literally the only Pauly Shore movie I have not seen.
It is the best Pauly Shore movie.
Is it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
My little claim to fame with Pauly Shore is that he retweeted me. Remember when everybody was it the Oscars? Oscars So White? When
yes.
Yeah, like Will Smith, everybody was boycotting it.
Yeah.
And I tweeted at Pauly Shore, says, I'm going to boycott the Oscars until Biodome is nominated. And he retweeted it. And it made me feel so good. I'm like, whatever, that's so stupid. So welcome to the show. There may be a few of you who may not recognize this intro, which I'll explain now. What am I going to set it up? We tweeted. Now all the tweets are gone. We're not going to...
It's all because of me. But.
Yeah, we're not going to... There are people who tweet stuff and it goes away. We're not that famous where people would have screen capped it. But we were going to try to do the show Facebook Live. We did try.
And I'll be honest. I got too distracted by everything. And I was like, let's just redo this. I get very weird about like putting out a product I don't like just in general. So anyway, we're redoing it. We did start the show off, though, with talking about like my week and then talking about your week.
Yeah, so we want to catch up since the last episode, what we've been up to as people.
So I've been meaning to do this sensory deprivation thing, which I've heard Joe Rogan talk about so much because I'm such a podcast listener. And the weird thing is, Vice has done stuff on it. Rogan's talked about it. Duncan Trussell, who
there
does
was
podcasts.
a Simpsons episode on it.
Yes, and the thing that I heard people say is like it's so trippy, man, and you're gonna be in like a whole nother world, and you're tripping in there, and that whole type of thing, or that you like when the music comes on at the end, like you wake up and
is there music playing
at the end, like to wake you up?
Oh.
So there's nothing until the end.
You're just floating in water.
So I figured, I'm going to kind of fall asleep, enter another consciousness, like things that they were saying. Now, I could tell you, I was fully aware the 90 minutes in there.
Jeez.
But
do you have to pee?
No.
That would suck.
It was well, you pee before, man. But
Can you get out?
If you want to, but you're not going to want to.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, I was worried about all that too. So you kind of shower before you go in there. You shower when you get out.
Is the water clean? It's like
man. It's the same body temperature as you, pretty much. And you're just floating on the water, and you're there with your thoughts. And it's actually a great place to be, I think, when you need to like come to a decision or something. You need to think because it is nothing. There is no distractions. There is no sound.
Bathing suit, nude.
Fully nude, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
They better clean that shit after.
I would hope so.
Okay.
Who knows? But anyway, interesting, man. It was something I've been meaning to do. I partially did it because my neck has been fucking killing me.
Mine too. What is that about?
Mine was from lifting. But I've had
from sleeping wrong. What does that say?
I've had that before too.
All right.
Though.
What does that say about us?
I've had it like recurring for years now. But I was doing like shrugs at the gym, and all of a sudden, this whole thing came back. So I woke up this morning like barely able to get out of bed. Found a good chiropractor though, where I live in Port Washington. And
he's not sponsoring the show, so don't say his name.
We'll see where we'll see where it goes, man. But anyway, that was my week. Nothing Guns N' Roses related, but there you go.
Very exciting.
Yes.
I guess for me, because we're recording this as we always do. I don't know how to explain that. But yesterday in real time, so I guess the 26th, because the weekend of the 26th here in Long Island, there's a tattoo convention at the Cradle of Aviation in Garden City. And I've never been to a tattoo convention. I have tattoos I think I've gotten more recently than I've had in the past.
A lot of super hot, like Suicide Girl looking chicks.
There's I'm glad you asked. There is amazing, and there is Walmart.
Yeah, that's true.
There are some freaks there. My God, there's just one that you'll see at like the circus freak shows. I don't think they call them that now. I don't think there are many in existence anymore because it's not PC. But there are some weird looking people there. But it was a cool experience, and because my first, I think we have mentioned this before, and we spoke about it on our Twitter. My first tattoo was Use Your Illusion 1. Sorry, I had to go away from the mic because I'm dripping boogers as my allergies is killing me today. So I'll make this. Maybe I'll cut that out. Maybe I won't. We'll see what happens.
We'll live with it.
Keep it. So Use Your Illusion 1's on my left shoulder blade, and that was like when I was 21, maybe 33 in like a month. But I've gotten more recently. And I went to the convention, not really, just wanted to experience it. I really didn't have anything in mind. And my current...
Did you know you were going to get something tattooed?
No, my current project, I knew my artist was going to be there, but he was busy. My current project, meaning I'm getting a never-ending story 3/4 sleeve, my right arm, because I'm a fucking nerd. And my left, which has a radio microphone on it, because, I'm in radio, and I don't know, that's why I decided to get it. Mixed with some other stuff on it. And it's like 8 years old, colored, but it's not like it was faded where it looked bad.
No, I never noticed it being faded, but now that you're in the studio, and next to your other tattoos, like he did a very good job making it look more vivid and pop.
So I decided to get that. Well, when in Rome, as they say, go on. Anchorman, if you get it. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I got the retouched, and I decided I also got like a little zombie guy, a little cartoon zombie guy.
Yeah, looks cool.
I'm gonna make it into like a radio related, him chasing like maybe like a brain with with headphones on it or whatever. I will say this too. Now that I'm thinking about it, because it's Guns N' Roses related. The tattoo that Axl has on one of his arms? It looks like a shield, and there's like a it kind of looks like
I know.
It has like a shield, like a black and red. So that kind of inspired the one I have on my right bicep, which is just Zodiacs and my brothers and I liked how it looked on Axl. I'm such a poser. I wanted to get something. Obviously, I got something different, but I like the shield on his arm.
Sure, it was inspired.
It was inspired by, but then I just decided to, I like the whole sleeve angle of it. But I guess there's another Guns N' Roses related thing. But that's about it.
What's funny? Speaking of like recoloring tattoos, retouching up things, like when you look at, I would say when you look at Axl's cross, the Appetite cross, like it. I don't know if they actually can do anything at this point because it's just very dark now.
Yeah,
it would be very tough to kind of retouch that. Like the faces are all kind of faded.
I know,
and it was for that time, for 1987 are we talking about?
Yeah.
Right, for that because he got it done then, like when the album came out, basically.
Yeah,
for that time, that was a well done tattoo.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, just time is kind of cruel on tattoos sometimes.
I've seen people with that exact same tattoo. I think there's a difference between me being inspired by and getting something in the vein of, but then getting the same exact tattoo as somebody. I think that's kind of corny.
I will say I have Dr. Feelgood on my back, of course.
But that's not, what, does Vince Neil have that?
Well, no, I was going to say, though, I've been to I was at my old gym, X-Sport, and I saw...
Are they a sponsor?
No, I don't go there anymore. Not even a fan. Even though, we're getting so off track. But Jen Selter, the chick on Instagram famous for her ass.
I don't know.
She's very hot, but she used to work behind the counter there before she became someone with millions of followers on Instagram. So anyway, there was a guy there I saw in the locker room with the same Dr. Feelgood tattoo, pretty much the same size, same position and everything. So I think that's like kind of the spot where you get it. Not really, but it was funny that I talked to the guy and he's
you guys make up?
No, but he was like, oh, I saw Motley Crue and they toured Dr. Feelgood. I might not be the youngest, but I'm one of the youngest people with a Dr. Feelgood tattoo, and there are many, many people who have it.
Sure, and I get that. There are plenty of other people who've gotten Use Your Illusion tattoos. Some of them I'm actually very jealous of. I'm like, I would have liked that placement. I like that color, whatever. But I've never had somebody with the same, especially with how weird mine are, with the same exact tattoo.
Did I already say what inspired me to get it at that time?
I don't. If it was in that episode, I don't remember.
Okay, because I saw. It's funny. We'll mention Tracii Guns, so we will tie it in.
Yes, we have to talk about Tracii Guns coming up.
Yes, so we'll get right into it then. But we'll tie it into this. So I saw Brides of Destruction at Starland. I told
Nikki
you this.
Sixx's band.
Yes, with Jay, who you've met.
Sure.
And that, it was Nikki Sixx's band with Tracii Guns on guitar. And Jay at the time was much older, in his early 20s, and I was, a teenager. Handed me a beer, and I had a baby face. They kicked me out. I met Nikki Sixx in the parking lot. He got me backstage. I've told you this, but I don't know if I've ever mentioned it.
I think he's told me off air.
So I'm going through it quickly, but the main point is that I said to Nikki, I was like, dude, I will never forget this. And I've actually gotten the chance to thank him since when he came to Sirius.
That's cool.
And I told him,
he's a good dude. I interviewed him once.
Yeah, and I told him that he's always getting attacked on Twitter by people and people who say he's a dick. And I'm like, dude, I always have your back.
He's opinionated, but he's smart about it,
Yeah. He says certain things to get headlines, though, I think, but that's part of the business.
Yeah, but no, I look at he's not getting into fights with Nicolas Cage. He's not like that.
He's getting into Twitter fights with Gene Simmons. And I know that you're
who is it?
Yeah, you're on the side of Nicky.
I'm blocked.
I know, that's right.
I wear that proudly to be blocked by Gene Simmons on Twitter. But yeah, do you want to get into Tracii Guns?
Yeah, I was going to
now?
say we might as well talk Tracii Guns. And what's funny about Tracii Guns? I should mention is a lot of people.
That he looks like an ice road trucker now.
He does. Is that a lot of people have said that he's burned a lot of bridges, and Nikki Sixx has said that, and I remember. Actually, what happened was while they were in Brides of Destruction, Motley Crue put out that song "If I Die Tomorrow."
That's a good song.
Yeah, and Tracii Guns bashed the song, and he was like, "This song is really not anything exciting. If I would have brought this into like a bride's, meeting for a song, I don't think they would have been too blown away by it." And shortly after the group broke up, and I remember Nikki being like, "This is a guy who just burns bridges." He was like, I'm pretty much done with him at this point, he said later on. And he was like, he got kicked out of LA Guns, or I don't know if he left. I don't know how that, but he was like in Guns N' Roses, he burned bridges with those guys. And it's like, if you want to say burn bridges, I've never met the guy. I'd love to hear his side of things. And he said some very entertaining things actually about all this. But, he's severed ties, I guess, with some very big people. Especially Guns N' Roses, of course. So
he is the Guns.
Yeah,
that's what's so funny, that the name that everybody knows. They know Axl Rose. Where the Guns come from? Came from Tracii Guns. Well, recently, everybody has an opinion about the reunion, but he is not burning the bridge here at all. This was at. I want to give credit. This was actually from your neck of the woods. This was an interview at Sirius. And I believe, Eddie Trunk.
I was going to say, who at Sirius is interviewing Tracii Guns besides Eddie Trunk?
It's Eddie Trunk. So when he was asked about the Guns N' Roses reunion, he says, "I think it's the greatest thing there could be for rock and roll right now. People are gravitating to it by the airplane loads, and they're sounding great. Axl is sounding great. So, I mean, you can't get much higher praise than that. So." Maybe he's being honest, I guess, or he wants to be part of this reunion.
And he's
it's a stretch, but no, that's just cool to hear. Regardless of if it's just face value, it's cool to hear.
And it's like inspiring yet another reunion. People have been saying for years, when is Tracii Guns going to get back together with Phil Lewis?
I always joke, there's two versions of LA Guns.
There were, but I think that Phil Lewis got the rights to the name, so he's been touring as LA Guns. But it's funny because Tracii Guns will tour playing pretty much LA Guns catalog. There were two LA Guns at one time. And
so funny.
And the strange thing is the LA Guns Phil Lewis version without Tracii Guns is still touring, but then they'll occasionally do shows now that they're back being like Phil Lewis, Tracii Guns with, I'm confused. LA Guns with Tracii Guns, and now they're going to put out an album. So I don't know if they're reuniting altogether. It's interesting.
It's progress.
But one of the funny things was I remember when they were at war, there was an article on Metal Sludge, which I love, of course, and Phil Lewis was saying, Tracii Guns is not the real LA Guns. Where the band people should be going out for. And Tracii Guns wrote a really funny rebuttal that he was like, look, you need to calm your fucking ego. He was like, LA Guns was at best like a C-list 80s band. And he was
He's
like,
being pretty honest.
And he was like,
Yeah.
neither of us are rock stars. He was like, rock stars pack out arenas. He's like, my version or your version of this band can go out any given night and play like 3,000 people. He's like, that's cool. We get to make a living doing what we love. He's like, but chill with the ego. Neither of us are rock stars.
I like that because that's exactly how I feel, and the fact that he's saying that's real self-awareness right there. No, that's great stuff. So we'll see if anything comes out of that, whether it's the LA Guns stuff or, I would like to see, because we'll mention this too, how Steven Adler came back for the final show in the U.S., the LA show, and he's making another appearance. We had those 2 appearances. People were thinking, he's going to come back every show for a couple of songs now. Obviously, he didn't. We were even though we loved the show that we went to, we were disappointed. Especially it was Slash's birthday when we went. We were hoping something would happen, and they're a band where they could bring out a lot of people. Maybe in the future, I understand this was very, very early Guns N' Roses, so he really doesn't. He wasn't an appetite. He wasn't. Maybe he helped write some of these songs.
I don't know. I don't think there's any Tracii
maybe
Guns.
Early version that transformed into something else, like early versions of Think About You, things like that, of that nature.
Because on Wikipedia, you can actually see the writing credits. And I don't think Tracii Guns has writing credits. We can check it out. I mean, some of the early members actually, as John Miller mentioned on the podcast, he mentioned like Chris Webber wrote, I think it's Think About You.
Right.
But, no, I would say just look up like Appetite for Destruction, and you'll see the writing credits for each song, which is always interesting. I like to do that, by the way, because I'll see, hey, Slash wrote this and Axl wrote this.
Well, this is when they became Guns N' Roses. This is when they decided to merge LA Guns and Hollywood Rose to make Guns N' Roses. That's when it was Axl, Tracii, Izzy, and Ole Blech on bass, and Rob Gardner on drums. So that's pretty.
But I'm just
crazy.
Out of curiosity.
Like, what his writing credits maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say out of curiosity, since you're on Wikipedia here, and we do this live to tape. Basically,
we don't have a producer. We're not.
I'd like
that big
to just
yet.
check out Appetite for Destruction on Wikipedia and just look at the writing credits, because I don't think he has any. Although I could be wrong. Let's look through all these.
I'm probably not looking at this properly. Distracting me, Ian.
No, I'm looking. You know what it is, actually? Because here's the thing. Look down at where you were. See that? Yeah, the writing credits, you'll see Guns N' Roses for all of them because they shared that. But like West Arkeem was on It's So Easy, and then Chris Webber and Anything Goes. And that's it, because there would be a Tracii Guns writing credit there.
It doesn't even break it down, though, with the artist. It says Guns N' Roses.
They didn't do that till Use Your Illusions, which is why I always say, for example, to me that, Axl is the most important member because he wrote Estranged by himself.
Right.
He wrote November Rain by himself, and those are like definitive songs for me. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, regardless of what credit or inspiration he had for pre-Guns N' Roses, he was a member at one point.
Yes.
He has that, and he is the Guns in Guns N' Roses. So it would be interesting to see if in the future if he has any involvement whatsoever. Because
Tracii, I don't see.
I don't expect that at all. But I'm just saying, I think that could be cool because this will bleed into what Gilby Clarke just said.
You know what could be cool?
What's that?
The reunited Phil Lewis, Tracii Guns, LA Guns opening some shows, maybe.
That's something. That's something else that could possibly happen.
There's so many reunions happening. I mean, I haven't mentioned on the recording yet that, I'm going to see the Dokken reunion in South Dakota. They're only playing one U.S. show
Can't believe you're doing that.
Dude, I love Dokken. So
much you're going to South Dakota. Unbelievable.
I'll be honest. All right, my mom.
By yourself.
My mom had frequent flyer miles, so the plane.
Oh, that's a little Jewish boy.
The plane is free. All right, because she's hooked me up with that.
Good job, Mama Dukes.
You can get a hotel
Mama
in South
Scott's.
Dakota because I just bought it for like $75 or so a night, and tickets are $50. I'm really not paying that much.
You're going to have an experience that nobody else is going to have.
It's going to be an event.
It is going to be an event.
Because this is the one. And they've made it clear, at least Don Dokken has made it clear, that this is it.
Oh, there are already rumors that he and George Lynch are fighting already.
Oh, yeah. They don't like each other. And that's another weird thing. Do you appreciate the fact that they at least say, like, hey, we're doing this for the money.
They're
we're
honest.
not. Yeah.
That's why, while Guns N' Roses haven't said anything as to why they're doing this, other than an Slash thing that he's, it's about time, whatever, you still see off camera, assuming that they're not aware the camera's there.
Sure.
Axl and Slash smiling and frolicking.
But we also know that money is involved. And
of course.
People
but is that...
Yeah. People wonder the timing of Slash getting divorced and the tour.
Yeah, that's part of it, too. Or how Ashba left and Bumblefoot left, and I'm like, oh, hey, you need I don't have a band anymore. Well, let's get some of the old guys back in.
I might have mentioned it on a earlier podcast. I forget what I talk about, but Kiss had that same thing where they were at a certain point all they had left to do was put the makeup back on and get that original lineup back. Because they did that Carnival of Souls album, but they did albums before that I heard that when they were on the tour for Revenge, like they were playing to like half full arenas.
Yeah,
and people, they did the Unplugged, for example,
but Axl was doing well. But as Dee Snider said, what it was Rose and Roses, right?
Yeah, he was doing well, but was he playing giant stadiums?
No, but he's still well enough to have a residency in Vegas. Yeah, and have a world tour.
I'll say this though, actually, in terms of ticket sales, this surprised me. I remember when I went to go see the Axl and Friends, whatever you want to call it, version of Guns N' Roses,
Guns N' Roses 2.0.
Yeah, one of their last shows, actually, of that version in Pennsylvania, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I went with my friend Steve because it was driving distance, and that was the only show they were doing within our, somewhat area. They did Rock on the Range in Ohio,
right?
But that's a whole festival. I just cared about seeing GN'R, and then they did the Vegas dates.
Sure.
So I was like, wow, this is like your one chance on this tour, on this little tour they're doing, to see Guns N' Roses if you live in the Northeast. And I don't even know if that's sold out. It may have, and that was a pretty small venue. It was at a casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But you would think that was, that would be an instant sellout, and it would be a big deal because if you lived in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut area, that was your one time to see them, and not at a big venue, not an arena. And
I think Axl showed his, I don't want to use the word power, but just kind of used his aura, his lure of just being that standalone frontman of, I'm not going to compare it, but just for lack of a better example, of Robert Plant, of Roger Daltrey, of just somebody who can go out by themselves and be enough to a certain degree. But he also had a lot of hate on, but he still did well. Maybe that one didn't sell well, but even on this tour, the one now, the reunion, Kansas City didn't sell well.
But it's an arena still.
I know, but they're still selling out the major markets. You Pennsylvania's not a major market. It just depends.
Yeah, you wonder. It's you do wonder why. It's a strange thing because I could tell you this, for example. I'm a fan of the band Dope. I don't know if you listen to them at all.
I have no idea.
They were from like that new metal.
Up with Hope, down with Dope.
They were from like that new metal era.
Okay.
So I remember I saw them in actually also in Pennsylvania at the Croc Rock in Allentown, PA. And they filled that place up. It was packed to the max, to capacity. And I saw them a few months later play at Webster Hall in New York City. And there were honestly maybe 50 to 100 people there.
It really depends. It's funny, but I know a lot of local bands, and the scenes here on Long Island in New York will not compare to a lot of them go to the Midwest. It just depends. But you look at somebody like Axl, he should do well everywhere. You don't know. So that's why there were a lot of curiosity about this tour, just because it wasn't a full reunion. And that'll kind of transition to what Gilby had said. He said something, and I'll give credit to the show. This was the Lucas H. Gordon show. I found the clip on YouTube.
I'm happy that the guys are back together. I think it's really important to music, especially rock and roll music, that Guns N' Roses is a viable band that's outperforming right now. I know Axl has been out there with his band playing, but it doesn't get any better than having Slash back in the band. So with Slash and Axl back together, I really think they can have some great shows and hopefully write some good music together and keep the band name and legacy alive. I mean, people were asking me questions last year, do you think Guns N' Roses is going to get back together? And I kept saying, no, I didn't. I honestly didn't. So I'm surprised, just like a lot of people are, that the band's back together. But I think it's a great thing for music.
If you were called, will you be part of it?
I don't really want to answer that because I don't know.
I'm asking you.
I honestly don't know because it's a hypothetical question. It's a hypothetical situation, so I really don't know. I mean, before all this happened, people say, "Would you be a part of the reunion?" I always said, "Absolutely." Look, I love the music of the band. I love the band, the performance-wise and stuff. But this Guns N' Roses isn't the Guns N' Roses that I was a part of. So it's a little bit. That's a hard question to ask right now.
I know. I'm a huge fan of the Lucas H. Gordon show. So. No, I have no idea who it is. It's a British dude, though, right?
I know. It's, I don't know, Spanish or whatever, but I want to give credit where credit is due.
No, I get it.
And you hear Gilby, he's saying that he's all for it. He's glad Slash is back in the band, but he doesn't want to answer that if you asked if he wants to be back in the band. But you flash forward to now, and he was recently, again, I want to give credit where credit is due because I am a skinny Jew. I'm not the fat Jew.
The fat Jewish, right?
The fat Jewish, right, who steals material. This was an interview at the Pistons and Pinup Car Show in Chatsworth, California. He said, the reunion that happened is really just Axl, Slash, and Duff. That's fine. That's what we all said, but we're all kind of fine with that. Basically, here's the thing. Basically, Slash and Duff have joined Axl's band. So I don't know if you could really call it a reunion. So myself, Matt Sorum, Izzy Stradlin, it didn't happen as a reunion for all of us to join. So I think if the time was right and the situation was right, I think everybody would come back and do it. A lot of things you could pick apart here. So the clip that we played before, he's totally happy. And again, you could hear that. Here's his voice, his cadence. Here, I'm just reading it. But I think that, I don't know if I can misread the comment that he says that Slash and Duff have joined Axl's band. I feel like that's a shot. I don't know if that's a shot at Axl, that Gilby's still bitter about being fired, he didn't know he was let go, or how long his contract was, or shot at Slash and Duff by saying, hey, you're hired guns, for lack of a better phrase. There's something weird about that statement. I would love to have Gilby on the show and have him kind of elaborate on that, because a lot of what he's saying we've discussed. But why is he saying it? Why now? And it seems like such a contrast as to what he said a few months ago.
It is kind of Axl's band, though, and I would say because they're playing the Chinese Democracy material, it's 3 prior members. Well, actually, really 2, because, I mean, Dizzy Reed is a part of the band.
For like 2 decades.
Yeah, Melissa Reese is new. So, I mean, it's just Richard Fortas.
She's happy to be there.
Yeah, Richard Fortas and Frank Ferrara, right? Those are really the... but, they're not playing any Slash Soul material. They're not playing any Duff McKagan's loaded material.
We've seen the set list, and we know it's not photoshopped with Richard Fortas in the studio, that Slither is on there.
But who knows? Maybe that was, maybe Axl shot it down. I don't know.
But it's on the set list. It's on one of the alternatives, alternate songs.
They never did it, though, as far as
maybe not
know.
yet.
Yeah. So
but think about it. They're doing. I mean, yes, the alternate songs that they've been doing are usually Chinese Democracy songs.
It could always be that this was something that those guys printed out in the studio, and then they decided, hey, this is not what we're going with. I mean, if they haven't played it, it's not. And we don't even know who would sing it if it happened. Would
I
be
know.
Duff,
There's a lot
Axl.
of curiosity there. And we also don't know, because it's not like Slash is playing the solos like they're played on Chinese Democracy.
Yeah. But is it possible Axl's kind of like, the dictator here, being like, hey, we're not going to play those songs, because they haven't.
Not yet. I mean, they haven't done a lot of things, I think, that we've hoped they would do or rumored to do yet, whether as far as getting together with certain members or... I don't know. I think there's still a lot of speculation. Maybe because when Chinese Democracy came out, Slash and Duff had only positive things to say.
Yeah.
Where they could have shit on it right away. So maybe they wanted to play it. I mean, I'm sure Axl didn't have to twist his arm. Yeah. So we're only speculating here.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome that Slash is putting his own spin on it, although it's like unique, because I personally liked these solos, whether it's Buckethead or Bumblefoot or
I love
it.
But so I agree with what Gilby Clarke is saying, but at the same time, he's just as much a hired gun as these guys. We have to keep in mind. I think people romanticize the era.
He knows that.
Yeah, of those Use Your Illusions tours and everything. But he, the only thing he ever played on was the Spaghetti Incident, which is a covers album. So he never wrote he's in the same category as DJ Ash, but he never wrote a Guns N' Roses song.
Right.
Which is why you don't get a Guns N' Roses tattoo surrounded by DJ Ashba, and you probably shouldn't get a Guns N' Roses tattoo surrounded by Gilby Clarke.
I think we discussed that Ashba tattoo on the first episode, I think. Wow, just Whatever. People, whatever floats your boat. But I would love to get Gilby on the show to kind of either double down, clarify, because I don't disagree with a lot what he said. I think it's just that weird statement is, well, yes, it's I don't know. Can you say it's a fact that they joined Axl's band? It's their band. I mean, well, yeah, Axl owns the name, but it's such a weird, why did you have to phrase it that way?
Well, it might be kind of different if they would have done what was speculated before the reunion and brought in like the Velvet Revolver guitarist, right? Were they going to bring in
Dave Kushner?
Or was he? I don't know all the members, but he was a second guitarist, right?
What, for Velvet?
Yes,
it was Slash and Dave Kushner.
Exact. So had they have brought him in, then maybe it wouldn't be Axl's band. It would be a mashup of all these guys' projects. But
yeah, I guess. I mean, or it's just rejoining your old band, and some members are just from the new one are just there. I mean, it's just there's so many different ways to look at it. I think I think you can make an argument from every angle. I think is that fair to say?
Yeah. You know what I wonder? I was just thinking about this. Do you think Gilby Clarke sees any money from his Guns N' Roses days? Because when you think about it,
I don't know. Is Spaghetti Incident going for like 99 cents in the Best Buy bin?
But also he doesn't have publishing because those are covers. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you have publishing or writing credits on songs, like I'm pretty sure I would assume. Actually, it would have to be.
Maybe for Welcome to the Videos.
Yeah, but like Chris Webber still must see Appetite money.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Gilby Clarke sees any of that. He doesn't. Publishing is like where that money comes in. You know, like when Taco Bell used Appetite for, Welcome to the Jungle. Remember that commercial?
I do.
Like,
Axl loves Taco Bell. Remember when he tried to shoot that at a reunion? He's like, yes, I can confirm. I love Taco Bell.
But like, so Slash, since they all shared writing credits on that album, Axl, Slash, Duff, and Steven and Izzy, they all saw money from that, which is kind of like that, that publishing, you see that money for decades to come. And I don't know what money Gilby Clarke would see.
I don't know. I don't know. Again, I hope we can at some point get him on the show. He seems like a really cool dude, well respected in the industry.
Yeah.
I would love to just have this conversation with him. As in that interview from the very famous Lucas H. Gordon show, he's like, he knows he hasn't been in the band in 20 years.
The one thing that
he was in the band for I think we looked it up. It's 2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah, about 3. And the one thing that they did do for him, of course, is that like if Gilby Clarke is in a project, you want to see it because it's Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses. And
he's gotten inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, we were checking that out, which is kind of strange,
a little weird. I mean, because
I guess it makes sense that he was there during the performance just because Izzy wasn't there.
So was he there for the performance, or did he get inducted? I guess that's another question. I probably should.
We want to go on YouTube real quick.
Go to the Google.
I remember it. I of course remember Miles Kennedy on vocals. Who I just think you can't replace Axl Rose. But
no, you can't.
I mean,
but you could try.
I think what we're seeing now is definitely much more of a reunion, it's fair to say, than like what was at that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame reunion. But yeah, the picture has, we were looking up before, has Gilby Clarke. I'm just trying to remember if he was in the actual performance.
No, he was in the performance.
Okay, so that answers my question then, right?
Yeah. Well, that's different. That's not being inducted. You could be part of the.
But he gave a speech, right? They all gave those speeches.
Yeah, I mean, we probably could have looked this up a lot better. I wish we actually had a producer. We should hire an intern and just say, hey,
And they'd be like, "Where's my college credits for this?"
It's in. I open my wallet, and there's just a moth that flies out. But I don't know. I still would just love to talk to him and just to see what the deal is. And I think it's how he kind of assumes that if there is a reunion that he's a part of it, which I have no problem with it.
I think if there was a real traditional reunion, it's those guys on Appetite, plus maybe you could say Matt Sorum as well.
Yeah, well, Matt Sorum, I mean, obviously Adler was the original 5 that we remember from Appetite.
Yeah.
But Sorum was Use Your Illusion.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And they have a very different drumming style. They really do. That's what really separates those albums, along with a lot of other things. I actually heard Steven Adler on Jamie Jost's podcast talking about the trend of using programmed drums on songs and stuff like that. And Steven Adler made the comment, like, when you know when you hear a certain thing that it's programmed. And Steven Adler was like, yeah, it's either a machine or it's Matt Sorum. He didn't say it as a negative. He was like, Matt Sorum honestly plays like a machine. He was like, I have some mess ups here and there. He was like, that guy is just, he plays perfectly. And it's true.
You know, it's something I believe it was Michael, he was talking about that. Michael Rickland, he was last episode, where he's not as nerdy as a fan as we are. I don't notice drumming like that. You know, I
didn't notice it until Steven Adler said it.
Okay, and when I went to the show at MetLife, I'm sitting with my my buddy who's kind of a, you know, it's not a musician, but he understands it, and he's like, I respect this new guy. He's like, he's hitting it.
He's a great drummer,
right?
Yeah.
You know, like Frank Ferrara is a great drummer, but then there are people who, you know, he's watching the video of Adler. He's like, it's just different. The vibe is different. You know, so I mean, I honestly I don't notice that. I notice the singers, the guitarists, but that's just my own thing. But I'm reading on Wikipedia, which of course is always trustworthy, that it was just a classic lineup that was inducted. So Gilby may have just went just to be a part of it.
Yeah,
which is great. I mean, that's awesome.
And you need to have a second guitarist on stage. And when Izzy said no, you know, you need to have that second guitarist.
Yeah, I mean, he could have said no either.
I really do think it's so weird that, like, when you look back at that incident, that Izzy basically stuck with Axl during that. It was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And then when, you know, Duff and Slash said, all right, we're going to join Axl, Izzy was like, I'm out. It's strange. It's strange the way it worked out.
He's an odd bird.
Yeah.
Izzy. You know, that's what's amazing. So many people, you look at a band like Kiss where they all just, none of them shut up. And Guns N' Roses, they don't talk much. I mean, yeah, Duff talks. I mean, it's not like a high level, but he talks. He writes articles. You know, Slash, I mean, you think you see him more than he talks. He never goes on rants or anything like that. Axl barely talks, but when he does, he does.
The one guy who talks the most might be Adler.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's been very, very quiet since.
Lately, yeah.
That's what's the most... Because he would say, hey, I'm just doing a couple shows. I'm glad to be, you know, a part of this again. He's not saying anything.
But I'm sure he was told, hey.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure. So that's
why... Be on your best behavior,
I'm
man.
thinking, what's going to happen? And again, this is just obviously speculation. We want to get involved. We want to be the source. We want people to come to us because we have good intentions towards anybody, unless... You know, you're a musician who is just like an asshole. Like for me, I never met Gene Simmons. I personally don't like his shit that he said about. I'm sorry, I didn't read the article he sent me.
Oh yeah,
about what Gene Simmons' son wrote about him.
Sure,
the stuff that Gene Simmons said about depression and suicide, stuff like that. That personally upsets me. So that's a separate thing. Nothing that we talk about like with Gilby or things now. No animosity. I'm just like that's a curious comment. We want people to come to us at some point.
But we're also kind of selective, I think, also about what bothers us. Because there's a lot of people who, because of the lyrics of 1 in a Million, are like, I can't respect Axl. You know, but I'm able to look at it and be like, man, it was a long time ago.
Wasn't that kind of like in jest? That wasn't like, he wasn't serious.
Yeah, but it's just...
It's harsh words.
Picture in 2016.
The N and the F word.
Yeah, you can't really... In 2016, if you put a song out with those words... You'd be done.
Yeah, well, unless you're a rapper.
Yeah, I also think of Korn. You know, Korn had that song.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think they could put out that same song in 2016. I don't think it would go over well.
There's some classic rock stations that don't edit that word out of the Dire Straits song.
Yeah.
My money for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different time, and I don't think, when they wrote Money for Nothing, actually, if you hear about the inspiration of the song, they definitely didn't mean hostility towards gays.
No.
The song was actually inspired by a conversation that what's his name, the lead singer of Dire Straits? I can't think of his name.
Oh, my God, I know it. Mark Knopfler.
Yeah, that Mark Knopfler overheard, and,
everything's up for interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm always like that, where I'm not going to just see the clickbait and just be like, oh, my God. So, if anything, I did not like Gene Simmons' comments about Robin Williams. But he said bad shit also about Prince. But when I saw his apology and, issuing apology today, it's not like you're never doing a press conference or it's not a video. It's usually some sort of press release or a Twitter comment or whatever. It seemed the way it was written a lot really heartfelt.
Yeah.
Even though recently he kind of doubled down saying it was drug abuse. Maybe he's just so anti-drug and he's so angry. Yeah, he's just so angry that it's coming out poorly.
He also feels like drugs kind of ruined Kiss. in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2016 is a weird time when you think about it because, like, we have the social justice warrior thing, the people who take
PC, bro?
Social justice, 1, 2, 3. I wanna be PC. It's just the way to be for me and you. Your hateful slurs are through.
I call wee wee on you.
We'll fight until you're PC black and blue. We are language police fighting bigotry. Hurtful words can suck our turds cause it's PC for me and you. Yeah, bro. Yeah, PC, bro.
Yeah, the people who take it way too far. But at the same time, like, there's certain, like, it probably is a good thing that, you can't put out you can't be a mainstream band and put out a song that people perceive as being hostile to gays. Like, I understand that.
It's interesting what gets edited out now. There are songs, I think it's Papa Roach's song, Last Resort. Sometimes they'll edit words out, just mentioning the word suicide, sometimes mentioning the word heroin. I mean, sometimes it's really interesting what words get edited out, what people might consider trigger words.
Well, if you remember post 9/11, there were certain songs they just took off the radio.
Yeah.
And a song that was huge at that time was Drowning Pools, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. And they completely stopped playing it. I think Clear Channel just banned it at that point.
I remember in a radio group on Facebook talking about after that Orlando shooting, taking possibly 21 Pilots, that song Ride. I think I mentioned like shooting guns and everything in the lyrics. So, I mean, it's always up for interpretation. So that's what these the comments, I mean, Tracii Gunn's comments were all very, daffodils and puppy dogs and everything. But Gilby's are just, while they're, nothing is wrong about what he said, it's just interesting, especially you look back a few months when he's just all gung-ho and certain things he wouldn't answer. And so what's going on? And Adler being quiet. So what we're interpreting what he's doing. But I think it's all going to, I really believe, I hope, whether it's just the believing that, like you believe in Santa Claus, I hope you're real. And I'm why would I say that? I'm Hanukkah Harry. That's who I believe in. That they're all going to get back together at some point. We'll see what happens. And I think this kind of also bleeds into, and where they go from here, because you wanted to mention Metallica's new song.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll get into that, but I actually had one last question because I just thought of it as you were talking about that. Are you worried about Axl maybe getting burnt out? Because after this, he's going to go on the road and do the Axl DC.
I think I may go to that show, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I was not going to. I had no desire. But just some of the songs he just nails, man.
He does.
And I want to see him again, if anything. And now this, I've never seen AC/DC, and I wouldn't consider myself seeing AC/DC this time around. But at least I would be able to see Angus Young. It is a worry, but he's been doing it. And what happened? Because there are, and we spoke about this in a previous podcast, that there are nights he's just so off, and there is literally no rasp. And to do not just what he's doing now,
prior to the tour.
Prior to this tour. Yeah, no, with the Guns N' Roses 2.0, New Guns, whatever it is. Guns N' Roses 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold, whatever you want to call it. That the rasp has been completely gone, and now it's back, and he's doing it now with AC/DC, especially doing like songs that Brian Johnson couldn't even do.
Yeah.
Like doing old school Bon Scott stuff. So maybe he's just with the diet, vocal coach, because he mentioned going to rehearsal now, and then Angus Young and being with AC/DC, he's like, I've never done this before, actually going to rehearsal, and he's doing this stuff. So I am worried about it, but, if not like Slash and Duff could say, hey, you can't do this, you have a commitment to us. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I just, you do get worried if he's going to get burnt out.
It is a concern, just because this was not supposed to happen in our lifetime. And I don't want this night train to stop. I know that was all corny as shit, but I just don't want it to stop. I want it to keep going. And maybe, unless you have another question, that bleeds into the Metallica stuff. What's the name of that new song again?
Hardwired.
Hardwired, the new album, I think.
Hardwired to Self-Destruct, yeah.
Is the new album, and it comes out this fall.
And
they went back to thrash.
And I was going to say, they kind of pulled the Guns N' Roses in that there was speculation of a new album coming out.
No, the Lord said they were talking about it for a while.
They were, but the thing is, they put out that single and video one day out of nowhere. no one knew this video was going to come out.
Oh, yeah,
no one knew a release date was going to happen.
No.
And, like, there was nothing even leaked out. Like, most of their comments were like, yeah, we're working on something new.
Right.
They didn't leak out anything like, no, this fall we have a new album out.
They were set late 2016, early 2017. That's kind of what I read. But the fact that it just came out. Whoa. That, like, it's just, that, I like that. You know, that there was no, like, hey, the official, it's coming out, like, you knew, like, Green Day, their new song came out, Bang, 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 or whatever it is, that there was an announcement for it, and you were ready for it. This you weren't ready for. So as soon as that, it just started cranking, man, and I dig it. And I know you weren't a fan of the last album, Death Magnetic. I was, but we'll make the comparison here, and you can also compare in a bunch of different ways. So of course, Metallica had that infamous tour with Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
And they've definitely took two different paths to where they are today. You know, Guns N' Roses kind of dissipating. Metallica going through at least another bassist making a movie, you know, and getting a lot of hate for Saint Anger and
getting a lot of hate for Load and Reload as well.
Yeah, but
they're getting, and actually even before that, a lot of people thought they sold out when they did the Black Album. So
just making a video for one.
There's people who haven't liked anything since, well, I guess you'd say Master of Puppets, but you know, I think there's an even bigger constituency of listeners, if you want to call them that haven't liked anything since Injustice for All. And a lot of these people hear this new song and they're like, oh, I felt this way, and I like some stuff after, but I heard it and I was like, this sounds like Justice.
I'm reading, and I always try to go to the places that will have the most vicious, I mean, any place you go will have the most vicious comments. It's 2016, it's the internet, which is usually just blabbermouth.net, which I like the website, but the listener, most of the listeners are just like disgusting people, or commenters rather.
They can't enjoy anything.
Yeah, and they're like Beavis and Butthead. This sucks. Get a life, man. Or YouTube. Yeah. And it's like maybe 70-30 positive, which 60-40 positive, which is a lot. Yeah. In those negative areas.
I think it's so back to basics.
I like it. James, you could tell his voice has changed a little bit, but he's an older dude. But I look at it like you compare it to Guns N' Roses, where, you know, if they were to make new music, how would it be received? Are we so thirsty, so hungry for it because they're, you know, Axl Slash and Duff together again? Wow, we'll just take anything. You know, that's kind of how some people were with Chinese Democracy. Anything Axl. Like, he's alive. Oh, my God. So how are we going to perceive it? So it's going to be really interesting because there have been rumors with new Guns N' Roses material. Yeah. That has been out there. So I hope it happens. You know, I've been a fan of anything any of the members have had, whether it's Slash's Snake Pit, which is Slash and Miles Kennedy, whether it's the Neurotic Outsiders, whether it's
believe it or not, I don't know who the Neurotic
Outsiders. That's Matt Sorum and Duff, I want to say. They had a really good song, Good News.
There's Izzy Stradlin and the Juju Hounds. There's so many different projects, but that one I actually was not aware of, so I was like, maybe you can enlighten me on something.
The Neurotic Outsiders was a supergroup founded in 1995 consisting of Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols, Matt Sorum and Duff McKagan of Guns N' Roses, John Taylor of Duran Duran. The first lineup featured Billy Idol and Steve Stevens.
Like, say Billy Idol. I like Steve Stevens.
Oh, yeah, man. Together with McKagan and Sorum, but they were soon replaced by Jones and Taylor. The group was originally called the Neurotic Boy Outsiders. That sounds really like NAMBLA.
Neurotic Outsiders definitely.
They had a really, it's straight punk rock. And I love it. That's what I love about Duff and what he brings to the band. And they've one album, and you can see track 4, Good News. It's a really, really good song.
Nice.
Maybe we could play a little of it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
It's a great song, and I've just been a fan, that's why I think that all 5 of these guys, like the Beatles, everything, all the members, they're just great. But when they come together, it's like Captain Planet, put all our, together to form this one entity. But that's a really cheesy and
I like it.
Nerdy analogy.
But could either be, amazing or a total.
But I look at Guns N' Roses. I know it's not technically a supergroup. It's not Savage Animal with Sebastian Bach, but I'm saying it's a supergroup, and meaning that you have all this amazing talent. There's not a weak member of the band.
I think it's so funny.
I miss that show.
I think it's so funny that it's like remembered as Savage Animal. Yeah, but Savage Animal is the one that everybody remembers because Savage Animal.
Savage Animal, man. We really want to get Sebastian Bach on the show because he's going to be coming to Long Island soon, and he is such a great time to watch live.
I saw Sebastian Bach fresh off that show when they opened for Guns N' Roses in New Jersey.
Yeah, I told you I saw him, and you're very jealous of me that I saw him with the Suicide Girls in a show in Ottawa.
I thought you were going to say that you saw CKY open for GN'R. But
no, because we spoke about that off the air. I saw that was the 2002 show with Buckethead when they came back, and then he canceled the tour right after. That was the Chinese Democracy tour.
Yeah,
so it was Mix Master Mike, the DJ for the Beastie Boys, and then it was CKY, and then it was.
I love CKY, but so anyway, I saw Sebastian Bach pretty much fresh off that show. And he held up a beer during the show, and he said something to the effect of like, "How come Ted Nugent gets to hunt a fucking like buffalo, and I can't have a good American beer?" He was like, "You know what, Ted, go fuck yourself." Like it was something like that, and he said it up on stage opening for GN'R.
Sebastian is crazy, man. You know, that's another reunion I really want to happen. I know he was really adamant about. You know, original Skid Row opening up for Guns N' Roses.
I would have loved that.
Oh, that would have been amazing. You know, even and we were talking about. You know, we spoke about how Tracii Guns, and I know that's not even. I think that it's more likely to have an LA Guns open up for Guns N' Roses than Tracii coming on stage and doing something funny.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm just like, it's just like picking all these wish list type things that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
But if you remember. It was, I don't know how many solo records Sebastian has released, but it was on it was a really heavy one that Axl was on 3 of the tracks, but the only one he was really prominent on, he was a Back of the Saddle cover.
I love that cover.
So that's
one of the few covers I like better than the original.
Really?
Oh, I love Aerosmith Back in the Saddle, but that's a great cover.
No, it is. No, it is good. But when Sebastian has come out, he usually does My Michelle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot of options that can happen in this world that can be going forward. And just the fact that these are out there, that they're, doing the tour of a lot of places in South America, going overseas, going to Australia, there's a lot that could potentially happen. And I really want, and maybe we could talk about, did we talk about Guns N' Roses and the dream of them playing the Super Bowl, if that could possibly happen?
Yeah, no, you've mentioned it on Twitter. But
okay, because Adele said no. Now there's a disgusting rumor about I know you're a fan. Britney Spears.
Well, Britney Spears is fun to look at, too, even if you don't like Britney Spears.
I don't know. I think there's more attractive women.
But keep this in mind, though. And this is a fact, man. Everybody who plays the Super Bowl is lip syncing. Like, there's no live music ever done. So
no, the Red Hot Chili Peppers didn't play instruments. Anthony Kiedis sang.
But remember, Flea didn't have his bass plugged in purpose. So, I mean,
would they do that?
Maybe there'd be live singing.
Well,
I mean, it's
didn't Slash when Slash came out with the Black Eyed Peas and they did "Sweet Child of Mine," Fergie and Slash.
Yeah, dude. Did you ever see? It just reminded me of when Nirvana had to lip sing on that show in Britain. It was like Top of the Pops or one of those shows.
Okay, I think so. Remind me.
It's just. Are we able to look it up and play it?
I mean, there would be no benefit of being able to not see lip syncing.
No. You have to. Here's what it is. It's the same thing as you're saying with It's the same thing as you're saying with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right.
The instruments were not live, and they hated that, but they did the vocals live. Look, he's not playing the guitar, like not even attempting.
He just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and you'll see like Chris Novoselic is just like throwing his bass around. Like, look, they're not even attempting to look like they're playing.
You know what? This reminds me of Airheads. He's just filleting the microphone. That's fucking punk rock, man.
This verse is great too.
with the lights out. It's a stainless
It's great. Yeah, I had to play that for you.
Brilliant. I know I would like to think that Axl / and Guns N' Roses would not agree to lip sync anything, and of course that would be that fear that they would curse or whatever. But it makes too much sense. It's just, as far as the biggest band you could get, the audience, and it's just the backlash that there's been over some of these pop acts. I don't want to see fucking Bruno Mars again. I respect the dude, but it's enough already. It's enough.
Well, the fear is apparently, more than the cursing.
A nip slip?
Oh, yeah, that. But
Axl's little titty?
They can't deal with technical difficulties. They don't want to have like a guitar go out or feedback.
That's rock and roll. So I think
there's nothing rock and roll about the Super Bowl.
I think that make that halftime motherfucking rock and roll. It's enough already. You think people really give a shit? At the end of the day, when it's Guns N' Roses there, they want to. What is going to happen?
I'll tell you.
This isn't The Who. This isn't Tom Petty. When you want to accept, and I love both of those bands and artists, but this is Guns N' Roses. What's going to happen? They can get away with that more than anybody else. This is the time to do it. Guns N' Roses for the Super Bowl. God damn it!
Well,
sorry
to bring down your excitement a little bit. I think part of the fear is also like. Everything is timed so precisely with we need to get the commercials now. Like, you know how it is. We both work in radio. They don't care about they don't necessarily care about the performance. They just want to get at this specific time this band plays. They end at this time. They go to commercial at this time. And Axl, if something doesn't sound right, he's going to get pissed off and he's going to be like, start over again.
Unless there are goblins and ghouls invading his piano again, he's been a good boy. He's been going on stage. He's been getting off on time. He's been a good boy. If there's any time to strike, now is the time to strike. Strike, boss. That's my bad Schwarzenegger. But this is the time to do it. Well, I want to see it happen. I don't want to see Britney Spears. I don't want to see Adele. I don't want to see Bruno Mars. Fuck Coldplay in the ass. I don't want to see. I want to see Guns N' Roses.
If it has to be lip synced, do you still want to see it?
I think it would bother me because I think it would be not like. It would bother me. It would bother me. I would still prefer. I would prefer a lip sync Guns N' Roses over. I mean, what would you like? You'd have to give me another option.
Yeah,
Weird Al.
My fear is that at least for Axl, every major performance he's done recently, where it's televised, it's big. For some reason, he just doesn't hit the mark. I don't know why. Like, you saw that Golden Gods award show.
Yeah.
He really did not sound great.
Well, that was before this new tour.
Yeah.
What he found, the Fountain of Youth or whatever.
Shows. He always said, like, those Rock in Rio shows are always kind of weak. Like, he just, I don't know.
He's been weak up until this tour.
We think of the MTV Awards show. That was, even though that was exciting for you, just spectating it, like, it was not a strong Axl performance.
But I don't know what happened. Maybe he's on HGH. Maybe he's been hanging out with
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, maybe he's been hanging out with Barry Bonds. He found some steroids, a Fountain of Youth. I mean, he's been good this tour. He was really hit or miss for many, many years. I mean, the shows that we went to, whether together or separately, he was good. I've seen plenty of videos online where I'm embarrassed for him.
The Neil Young concert.
Yeah, and I mean, there are plenty. I'm just like, he sounds, I know people don't like when this comparison is made, but what else could you say? But he sounds like a Mickey Mouse, kind of like there's no rasp there, and I can't sing like him, so I can't. I'm not criticizing him to that degree. Like, oh, you're not doing your job. It just wasn't there. It's like the same thing David Lee Roth wasn't getting, And I look at it as like, you know what? I'm happy seeing Axl no matter what. I'm happy to sing David Lee Roth no matter what.
Yeah, I'm happy seeing Don Dokken in South Dakota no matter what, even though he doesn't sound like the Don Dokken.
I mean, we mentioned the new Metallica. I don't think that sounds as James Hetfield's best, but I still enjoy it.
It's in the studio. I mean, to me, it sounds like Load era James Hetfield. He doesn't sound
You tell me, because you're also a fan. This might be the only room in the world right now that there are two Chinese Democracy fans.
No, there are many fans listening right now.
In a radius of 100 miles of where we are right now. That I listen to, he is all over the place. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. That his range is just, Madagascar, the recorded version, does not sound like Axl. It's so, weird. There's some, it just sounds so different that he doesn't sound like the old Axl. I'm not saying it sounds bad. Street of Dreams sounds really different. You know, he sounds like a different octave on Prostitute. It's different. I mean, I understand people get older. It's not the guitar. This will also we talk about with Mike Ritland. That, you know, the guitar it's an instrument. I know your voice is an instrument too, but it's your body. There's only so much you can do for it. I don't know what he did. I'm so glad that, because this reunion could have been real bad. It could have been real bad, and it's not.
There's a decent amount of Pro Tools on Chinese Democracy. That's part of it.
Oh, yeah.
If you listen to, they're all on YouTube. If you listen to the acapellas of Chinese Democracy, there's a lot of different layers happening. There's a lot of different effects on his voice. So I think that's part of it.
There may be. And when I interviewed Bumblefoot many, many years ago, this was before Chinese Democracy came out, and he said, and when I first asked him about it, his first response was like, so what do you think of it? Like, is this the greatest album of all time? Because, of course, that was the speculation. And he goes, it's really well produced. That was his first reaction to it, was that it was well produced. So that's an interesting first. I gotta find that clip of a young radio Brando. Like,
that's crazy.
I'm sure I have that on MP3 somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we could use it on the show. I mean,
yeah, no, I think I may be able to find it. But we'll see where it goes.
I love that album, man. I do, and
I really have grown to love it too.
I've heard people say, like, there's always been these rumors on the internet that it's like the most expensive CD ever produced, which it might possibly be.
It may be.
November Rain is up there for, you know, the most expensive video ever produced.
Nothing would be Thriller.
Yeah, Axl is just actually, I think Michael Jackson's Scream with Janet Jackson ended up being.
I think you're right. Oh, what about the other one he did that was super creepy? It was called Ghost, I think it was called.
I don't know.
It was in a mansion. It was really fucking weird.
I love Michael Jackson. I do.
He's somebody. All right. You said you were traveling to see Doc, and I would have really, I don't know, my finances probably were shit at the time, not like they're great now. I would have really tried to go to London to see his final 50 shows, because he is that level, that ilk.
Yeah.
So, but maybe this
Doc, and it's going to be a fun event, man. It's going to be a fun time.
If you have the means, you have the time, I hope you have the time of your life. But I think this is a good transition, talking about Chinese Democracy, to talk about a new feature, right?
Yes.
This I love, which, just as a quick sidebar, I really wish they would replace that song live. I think there's so many better Chinese Democracy songs to play. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I like everything on it.
But we're going to, that's just my BS opinion. But what we're going to do for this segment is that we're going to play things, whether it's a video, but usually I think it's going to be a song, because we're kind of, it's going to be a song of something Guns N' Roses related that we like, that may not be,
that we love
to the forefront. So I think what we're going to do now is play a couple short clips, and I don't know, you mentioned it to me first, and I guess I wanted to keep it as a theme. It doesn't always have to be a theme, but I felt like it should be a theme. And I never heard this before. This is a Guns N' Roses cover. So what are you bringing to the table for this? I love.
You know, it's funny. I'm trying to remember the guy's name now, but I know who he is. I'll give you a background. So the lead singer of Dangerous Toys, who you guys might remember of like that last wave of 80s kind of hair metal, that whole glam type thing. He did a cover of Welcome to the Jungle, and it's Jason something, because I see you looking it up.
McMaster?
Jason McMaster doing Welcome to the Jungle.
You need new glasses.
You know what's funny? I actually just I redid these prescription, and that's why I'm like kind of squinting a little bit. I'm just not used to them. But anyway, I don't know. No, I'm not. I don't know. I got. But anyway, maybe I do. Who knows? These are new though. But,
sorry.
So Jason McMaster. Yeah. So there's two different types of ways to do a cover, I think. There's really making the song your own. Like if you listen to Rob Zombie's cover of the Ramones' Blitzkrieg Bop, it sounds. Have you heard that before?
I have.
It's very much he made it his own. And then there's a way of doing a cover that you're kind of trying to remake the original. Mm-hmm. And I think that, there's people who fail at either of those, or they do a great job. And in this cover, I think he's definitely trying to remake Welcome to the Jungle, which is a tough task. But I was actually very impressed with it. I think he hits those notes, and he kind of has a voice that could pull off an Axl. No one's ever going to be Axl, but it's definitely one of the better Welcome to the Jungle covers I've ever heard.
Well, we'll let you decide. Let's play a little bit of it now.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know the names? We are the people that you find whenever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease in the jungle.
All right. I couldn't help, it was off the air. I kind of laughed a little bit when his vocals kicked in. Look, I am a hair metal fan. And I know a lot of those bands of that era don't like that term, whether it's 80s metal, whatever you want to call it. I always think of 80s metal like Priest and things like that.
Yeah, because it's not even really metal. It's
or
like,
80s
it's
rock.
Glam rock, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, but
it has a sound. It has a definitive
But when you
sound.
say hair metal, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even say that in a derogatory way. I like that. But you're clearly a bigger fan.
I love it.
And I thought I loved it. But you go to... You Aquanet that stuff. Your love is Aquanet it up. I think the band did a great job. I'm not saying that Jason McMaster did a bad job. It's just, it's funny of a band of that era that could have done the same exact song. And that song, and Welcome to the Jungle, so many VH1 used to have a lot of good programming, not anymore. Of the top 100 hard rock songs of all time, Welcome to the Jungle came in number 1. That would not have made the top 100 if that band recorded it.
No.
So it just goes to show you that you can have lyrics, you can have the guitar, maybe. I mean, I know it's not Slash, but it's comparable. But there's no comparable to Axl. There's no comparing. I mean, it is what it is. It's an interesting cover. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. I'm glad you love it. But not my cup of tea. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate. But have you heard, and I want to bring this to you, that I want to say Hailstorm made this their own, but they also kind of redid it. It's a weird combination because it's a female in vocals. Do you like Hailstorm in general? Are you familiar?
I don't know enough. What I've heard, I feel like it's almost the generic type of thing they play on Octane, on Sirius XM Octane, where I work. There's nothing about them that stands out to me. I also haven't heard a lot, but what I've heard, I've been like, this is all right.
Lizzie Hale, and I don't know why, they're a big band, and I don't know why they're not bigger. I don't know why they haven't crossed over to different genres. I don't know why they're not a harder version of Paramore. How Paramore kind of got big. They went to the Z100s and Z100 here in New York, like the top stations, the top 40 stations. They're not a top 40 band, but I think they have the potential to cross over and be bigger. So they had a cover album cover where they also actually covered one of my other favorite artists ever, Lady Gaga. I'm in love.
Who doesn't love Lady Gaga?
Well, there's a lot of people, but they're idiots. They cover like Bad Romance. They cover Slave to the Grind. Sick cover. But they also cover Out to Get Me.
All right, so my feeling on it, it is a very well done cover. Like, there's no denying it. She has a super powerful voice, especially when it gets to that upper register part. But is it something that personally, like, I gravitate towards, that I would listen to? I don't know. For some reason, like, it has that generic female voice to me. That I'm like, this is all right. Like, there's nothing that stands out about her to me, even though she could sing her ass off. It's just, I feel like there's a million female singers I've heard that sound very similar.
It's interesting. I think that's what we're calling this I love. Maybe not this we love.
Yes.
Because I think she's not the generic. The generic female voices are the ones that I hear on American Idol that just, I could picture that cover on American Idol. I think she hits that upper register. I think she has that little bit of a rasp. And it's a weird comparison, but it's just what's coming to my head right now. How all these American Idol people are like a poor woman's Kelly Clarkson, where she just has that extra. That's why she's still popular. She's still making great songs.
Yeah, I don't know. She reminds me of that.
I think that Lizzie Hale just hits that extra. I don't know. When I hear that, even with Slave to the Grind, when if you get this, it's the album is called Reanimate by Hailstorm. A lot of great covers on that record. that she hits that extra, and it's not because she's very attractive.
Yeah.
But it's that for me, this I love that she hits that extra. That register, that's something that's there, that rasp that Axl has, as opposed to what the dude from Dangerous Toys didn't have for me.
Sure. There's just, and
it's hard. It's not math.
I know. I could totally hear how you could listen to the guy from Dangerous Toys and be like, "This sounds like generic hair metal." I don't know.
It's so funny. We're like the same page, but on but the opposite. Like for each one of our songs, it's like the same thing. Like we have the same criticism.
Yeah. That it has that generic.
That's
for
weird.
me, it's almost like Miles Kennedy, for example. He's a great singer. He's extremely talented. He's able to hit notes. But for me, he is just a generic frontman. There's nothing about Miles Kennedy that I'm like, I love this. It just doesn't have that for me. And I feel the same way about this.
Yeah. Well, it's, again.
Do you agree with me on Miles Kennedy, by the way?
I will say with this about Miles Kennedy, the songs are hit or miss with me with Alter Bridge. It's nothing I dislike. There are certain songs I'm like, yeah, I could dig this. Other songs I'm like, this sounds like whatever. Like a generic, like you said, Octane song. I did hear a new Alter Bridge, I think it was a new Alter Bridge song on Eddie Trunk Rocks. Keep giving him plugs like he needs it.
He's good.
No, I enjoy his that show a lot, actually. That I really dug the new Alter Bridge song. I think it was a new one, whatever. But with him, unfortunately for me, now I get the visual of him, and he's a good-looking dude. Whatever. I'm uncomfortable enough with my sexuality to say that. It's not on me by that. That he is like one of the worst. He is the Avril Lavigne syndrome of frontmen. He doesn't do anything. He just doesn't do anything. He always raises his hands up.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to swat away a fly. He doesn't do anything. And that just, I don't feel the passion there. This shows you how gifted he is vocally, that he's able to hit those things, but I don't feel it.
Yeah.
Like with Lizzie Hale for me, I feel it. Axl, you feel it. And I think that's so important, even if you don't write the words.
Yeah.
You got to feel, wow, I'm feeling what that person's singing. I don't feel that from Alter Bridge. I think he really gets help from from Tremonti and the boys. That's why I feel the music. I don't necessarily feel him, if that makes sense.
No, I fully agree.
It's like,
I love
White Man Can't Jump. You hear Jimmy, but do you feel Jimmy?
Hey, what is this? Jimi Hendrix. No, I know who it is, but why are you playing Jimmy? Well, because I like to listen to him. Oh, you like to listen? That's what the fucking problem is. Y'all listen. Well, what am I supposed to do, eat it? No. You're supposed to hear it. Hey, I just said I like to listen to it, man. No. There's a difference between hearing and listening. See, white people, y'all can't hear Jimmy. You listen.
What the fuck are you talking about? His drummer was white.
I haven't seen that in ages. But yeah, I guess another show in the books. I will, so I was originally going to be at Sebastian Bach with you maybe a month from now, but now I won't be at that because I will be at Dokken in South Dakota. And I'm really...
No, I hope you have a great time.
Well, right before we recorded, I did it. I bought the tickets. Like right before we...
I didn't think you would, man.
Yeah. Well, what kind of convinced me was, like I said, the miles on the plane ticket, basically not having to pay for that. And
it'll never happen again? You'll never have this opportunity?
And my friend Sam even commented on my status, and he mentioned the time that I literally bought tickets to see Prince at Mohegan Sun, and I paid a ton for them. And I was like, man, I don't. At the time, I was like, I don't have this money. I'm just going to sell these because my friends bailed on me too. And I was like, I'm not going to go to a Prince concert by myself. This was maybe like 3 years ago. So I was like, I'm not going to go to a Prince concert by myself. That's awkward. Like, I'll go to a Dokken concert by myself, but Prince just seems kind of weird. So I ended up selling them, and like, I'll always look back and be like, I didn't see this. And
I felt the same. I did the same thing with Mitch Hedberg, the comedian.
Yeah, and so I would love to say I saw the real Dokken, the real lineup.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a great time. Like,
you will.
The thing for me is, here's the thing. You guys might be assuming that I am a huge Dokken fan, and they're one of my favorite bands, being that I'm like willing to go to South Dakota. I wouldn't put them in one of my favorite bands. I don't even own every Dokken album. I own like...
In fact, I don't... do I have any songs in there?
I own 3 Dokken albums, but the fact is, like, for me, and it's strange to people, it's like there's bands I love far more than Dokken, but that 80s... hair metal, glam rock, whatever you want to call it, I always have the most fun at those shows because those
the environment's
songs
good.
And the feeling, it is just it is people that want to have a great time. And it's like, for example, I'll tell you this. I've become friendly with Aaron Lewis over the years because he's a fan of the Will Count Majority, which I work on. And he is an amazing songwriter. And I think Stained writes incredible songs. I would love to see Stained again because it's been a while. But like in general, was that
a funny that you just said?
It's been a while. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I really didn't even mean to do that. But like, let's just say that they had been touring regularly. Would I be jumping to go see a Stained show? No, because it's like, as great as it is, it's very depressing music. And I like to go to a concert to have fun, to have a great time. And it's like bands like Guns N' Roses and Dokken and Poison and Winger. I know they're not all in the same category, but to me, those are fun anthems. And that's what I go to a show. Like, I go to a show to escape the everyday life, the everyday bullshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like if you go to a like Aaron Lewis, Stained show, those songs are kind of about the bullshit of everyday life, and we need that. But those aren't the most fun shows for me.
No, there are certain bands and genres of music that have this certain atmosphere, and Dokken in the 80s. That's why I really enjoy the Sebastian Bach shows. I mean, yes, you'll see it in no judgment because age is nothing but a number. Like a fine wine, like I say. But I think some people just try to fit into their old clothes from the 80s. You see a lot of those fans out, which is always humorous. But everyone's having a good time. So I know you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a funny, when you step back and look at it, it's I don't know what other word to say, but it's funny. But in a way, I wish I had the means. If I had like nothing going on, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. Go see Dokken. Whatever. Maybe Freddy Krueger will make an appearance.
Yeah. You would have a fun time. Like, there's no way that you're... Even if Don Dokken sounds terrible, like, let's just say he sounds awful, the band is not getting along on stage, like, anything short of them, like, cutting the set after 3 songs, like, I will have a good time. I guarantee... I hope it's a great performance and all that, but, like, it's going to be a fun atmosphere.
I know you hate social media. Take pictures and videos, all right?
I'm not going to go crazy.
I can't believe you didn't do that at Guns N' Roses. Unbelievable.
No, because I like to be in the moment.
I'm also in the moment.
I love being in the moment. If I'm out with my phone, I'm not in the moment.
I like looking back at the videos I took and the pictures I took.
Yeah, but I could go on YouTube. I'm going to be able to go on YouTube.
But they're mine.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
that's where we differ.
If I happen to see Don Dokken, I will absolutely get a picture with Don Dokken. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. Well, we will definitely speak and have another show before then.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
That's a month away. So.
Yeah. So we've been doing this every other week, right?
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep doing that.
We'll have some guests on, too. I'd love to have Eddie Trunk on, who we've talked about. There's a lot of people I'd like to reach out to.
And we have been reaching out to, and some just didn't coordinate it with this specific show.
Yeah.
But hopefully we've been entertaining enough for you. We would like to think so. If not, or if so, just let us know. We always love the feedback, whether we're getting it on iTunes. We're also now on the iHeartRadio app.
Yep.
But please leave us mainly feedback on iTunes, because that's going to help us go up in the rankings, which means we can do more for you.
Yes.
Pretty much. But of course, follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Anything else you would like to say, my dear Ian?
Nah, we covered a lot, man.
All right, so I guess, as Axl Rose said to Kurt Loder about Chinese democracy, we'll put this a little later to the next podcast. I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.
You've been listening to the distorted minds of Brando and Scotto, dissecting all things Guns N' Roses on Appetite for Distortion. Follow the guys on Twitter at The AFD Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/The AFD Show.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.